My child, before you continue scrolling, before you open another message, before your mind returns to everything waiting for you today, stay with me for a moment, please. Not because I want something from you, not because I want to interrupt your plans, but because there is something I have been trying to place gently on your heart for a very long time. And today, for whatever reason, you stopped long enough to hear it. That was not an accident. My child, I know how easy it would be to move on. I know your attention has been pulled in 100 directions. Responsibilities, deadlines, messages, bills, people needing things from you. Thoughts that never seem to stop moving. I know. I have watched you carry all of it, but stay with me just a little longer, because before this message ends, there is something I need you to understand that may explain why your heart has felt heavier than it should for so long. And once you see it, you may never see your life in quite the same way again. My child, I have been waiting for your answer. Not because my love depends on it. My love has never depended on your response. I loved you before your victories. I loved you during your failures. I loved you when your faith felt strong. I loved you when your faith felt distant. I loved you when you prayed every day. I loved you when your prayers became shorter, quieter, less certain, or disappeared for a while altogether. My love never moved. I stayed, because that is what love does. Love remains. Love waits. Love hopes. Love keeps the door open, but relationship requires response. And for a long time now, I have been waiting for yours. My child, you may not even realize how many times I have spoken to your heart. Not loudly, not dramatically, not through fear, but gently, quietly, patiently. A feeling you could not explain. A thought that returned again and again. A moment of stillness that seemed to appear in the middle of an ordinary day. A sentence you heard that stayed with you longer than it should have. A feeling that perhaps you should stop for a moment. Breathe. Listen. Pay attention. That was me. You felt it. You noticed it. Even if only for a second. But then life continued. The phone rang. Work called. Responsibilities piled up. The moment passed. And you told yourself, later. Later when life becomes easier. Later when things calm down. Later when you understand more. Later when you feel stronger. Later when you have time. But my child, later has a way of becoming someday. And someday has a way of becoming years. Stay with me here, because what I say next matters. Silence is also an answer. Not answering is still a choice. Ignoring your heart is still a decision. I do not say that to shame you. I say it because I love you enough to tell you the truth. Your choices matter. Your attention matters. Your response matters. More than you realize. My child, there are moments in life that quietly shape entire futures. Not dramatic moments. Not moments announced by thunder. Simple moments. Ordinary moments. Moments where a person decides whether to continue surviving or finally begin healing. This may be one of those moments. And that is one reason I interrupted your day today. Because I saw something you could not yet see. I saw where this road was leading. I saw the exhaustion growing heavier. I saw hope becoming quieter. I saw fear slowly becoming normal. And I could not remain silent. Not because I wanted to frighten you. Because I love you. Sometimes love comforts. Sometimes love waits. And sometimes love speaks clearly and says, my child, you do not have to continue living this way. My child, I know what you have been carrying, even the things nobody else knows. I know the nights when your body was tired but your mind refused to rest. I know the conversations you replay over and over after everyone else has forgotten them. I know the questions you ask yourself when the room becomes quiet. Am I doing enough? Am I falling behind? Will things ever get easier? Why does everyone else seem stronger than me? I know the moments when you smile because it feels easier than explaining what is happening inside your heart. I know the exhaustion that sleep cannot fix. I know the loneliness that can exist even in crowded rooms. I know, I have always known, and I have always been near. My child, you have mistaken my patience for absence. You thought that because I was quiet I had left. You thought that because answers did not come quickly, I was not listening. You thought that because life became difficult, I had moved on from you. But I was there. I was there in every tear nobody saw, every lonely drive home, every restless night, every silent prayer whispered into darkness, every moment you felt forgotten. I was there. And I am still here, closer than you realize, closer than your next breath, closer than the fears trying to convince you otherwise. My child, please do not leave yet, because there is something else I need you to understand. Fear has been speaking very loudly in your life, perhaps louder than you realize. Fear says, what if nothing changes? What if I trust again and get hurt again? What if I hope and become disappointed again? What if I try and fail? Fear has convinced you that carrying everything alone is strength. Fear convinced you that asking for help is weakness. Fear convinced you that staying guarded is safer than being vulnerable. And slowly, without even noticing, you became tired. Not because life defeated you, because you were carrying burdens that were never yours to carry alone. My child, there are some things you were never meant to carry. Tomorrow was never yours to carry. Other people's expectations were never yours to carry. Every possible outcome was never yours to carry. Every unanswered question was never yours to carry. You were trying to hold your entire future in your hands. No wonder your heart feels exhausted. You were never meant to carry what only I can carry. My child, if you remember nothing else from today, remember this: you are not weak, you are overloaded. There is a difference. A person carrying 10 stones is not weak because they struggled to carry an 11th. The burden was simply never meant to be carried alone. My child, there is a deeper reason I called you here today, and I need you to hear this carefully, because this may explain something you have been feeling for a very long time. Your silence has been costing you more than you know. Not because I punished you. I do not punish you with distance. But silence has consequences. Silence slowly steals peace. Silence slowly steals clarity. Silence slowly steals rest. Silence allows fear to speak where truth could have spoken instead. Silence allows worry to grow where trust could have grown. Silence allows loneliness to remain where connection could have existed. Quietly, slowly, almost invisibly. That is how heaviness enters a heart. Not all at once. One postponed conversation at a time. One avoided feeling at a time. One delayed response at a time. My child, please hear me carefully. I am not accusing you. I am not disappointed in you. I am not keeping score. I am helping you understand. Because understanding opens doors that guilt never can. You are not broken. You are not too far away. You are not too late. You have simply been tired for a very long time. And tired people often choose survival over healing. I understand that. More than you know. I know why you kept moving instead of stopping. Because stopping felt dangerous. Stopping meant feeling things you were trying not to feel. Stopping meant facing questions you were afraid to ask. Stopping meant admitting that maybe you were not as strong as everyone believed, so you kept going, and going, and going. But my child, even strong people need rest. Even brave people need comfort. Even faithful people need help. There has never been shame in that. There never will be. My child, I am not asking you to fix your entire life tonight. I am not asking you to become someone different before tomorrow morning. I am not asking for perfection. I am asking for presence. Stay here with me for a moment. Breathe. Be honest. Let me into the places you keep locked away, the fears nobody knows, the questions you avoid, the grief you carry quietly, the disappointment you never fully processed. Bring it all. Not the polished version, not the strong version, the real version. Bring me the questions, bring me the anger, bring me the confusion, bring me the exhaustion. You do not clean your wounds before coming to the healer. You come to the healer because healing is needed. My child, do you know how long I have been waiting for this moment? Not waiting with frustration, not waiting with anger, waiting with love, the kind of love that stays, the kind of love that remains, the kind of love that refuses to walk away when things become complicated. I waited through your confusion. I waited through your doubts. I waited through your distractions. I waited through your silence. And I am still here, not tired of you, not disappointed in you, still here, still loving you, still believing in what your life can become. My child, if you have stayed with me this long, then carry this truth with you today. You are not leaving this moment empty-handed. You are leaving with peace that fear tried to steal. You are leaving with hope that exhaustion tried to bury. You are leaving with the reminder that you are not alone. You never were, and you never will be. Because I am still here. My hand is still extended toward you. The door is still open. My love has not changed. My mercy has not run out, and my patience has not ended. Take my hand. Walk with me. Let me carry what has been crushing your heart. Let me bring peace where there has only been noise. Let me bring rest where there has only been striving. Let me bring light where there has only been confusion. You do not have to continue alone. You never did. My child, before you leave, answer me, not with perfect words, not with perfect faith, not with perfect understanding. Just answer me. Even if all you can say is, Lord, I am listening, that is enough, because healing often begins with honesty, peace often begins with surrender, and relationships are built one response at a time. If your heart needed this today, simply whisper, Lord, I am listening. And if those are the only words you can manage today, then let those words be enough, because I hear them, I always have, and I always will. My child, now that your heart has become quiet enough to listen, there is something else I need you to understand, because there is a question hidden deep inside your heart that you rarely speak out loud. A question that visits you late at night. A question that appears when you watch other people moving forward. A question that follows you through birthdays, New Year's, milestones, and ordinary afternoons that somehow feel heavier than they should. The question is simple, but it has carried enormous weight. What if I am behind? My child, you have spent far too long believing that everyone else is moving while you are standing still. You look around and see people getting married, building families, starting businesses, buying homes, reaching goals, finding direction, and somewhere inside you, a quiet fear begins to whisper, what happened to me? Did I miss my moment? Did I take the wrong path? Did I disappoint God somehow? Am I too late? I know those questions. I have heard every one of them, even the ones you never dared to speak aloud, especially those. My child, please stay with me here. because what I tell you next may change the way you see your entire journey. You are not behind, you are not forgotten, you are not disqualified, and you are not late. You are being prepared. There is a difference. The world sees delay. I often see preparation. The world sees waiting. I often see roots growing. The world sees silence. I often see strength being built where nobody can yet see it. My child, flowers do not bloom at the same moment. The stars do not appear all at once. The sun and the moon do not compete with one another. Each arrives at the right time. Each fulfills its purpose. Each shines in its own season. And so will you. You were never meant to live somebody else's timeline. You were never assigned somebody else's journey. You were never called to become somebody else's story. Your path was always going to look different, because your purpose is different. My child, comparison has been stealing from you more than you realize. It steals joy from victories that should have mattered. It steals peace from moments that should have been beautiful. It steals gratitude from blessings already sitting quietly in your life. Comparison whispers, "Look how far ahead they are." Love asks, "What am I preparing you for?" Comparison asks, "Why not me?" Wisdom asks, "What if your story requires a different season?" Comparison asks, "What am I missing?" Faith asks, "What if nothing important has been missed at all?" My child, the world measures value by speed. Faster growth, faster success, faster results, faster answers. But I have never measured your worth that way. Some things grow quickly and disappear just as quickly. Other things grow slowly because they are meant to last. Roots grow before fruit appears. Foundations are built before houses stand. Character is formed before responsibility increases. And some of the deepest work I do in a person's life happens underground, invisible, quiet, unnoticed, even by them. My child, there are parts of your story being written right now that you cannot yet see. Conversations that have not happened yet. Doors that have not opened yet. Friendships that have not entered your life yet. Opportunities already moving quietly toward you. Protection you never noticed. Redirections you mistook for rejection. There is more happening than your eyes can currently see. Trust me with the hidden chapters. My child, there were blessings I could have given you earlier, but earlier versions of you would not have been ready to carry them safely. There were doors you desperately wanted opened, but had those doors opened then, they might have broken the person you were still becoming. You saw rejection. I saw protection. You saw delay. I saw mercy. You saw a closed door. I saw the wrong room. Please hear me carefully. Not every no was punishment. Not every delay was abandonment. Not every closed door was loss. Sometimes love protects by waiting. Sometimes wisdom protects by delaying. Sometimes grace protects by saying, "Not yet. My child, do not leave yet, because there is something important I need you to hear." You have survived seasons that would have destroyed earlier versions of you. Think about that for a moment. The person you were 5 years ago could not have carried what you carry now. The person you were 3 years ago might have given up. The person you were before this season may not have survived this season, but you did. You are still here, still breathing, still hoping, still trying, even if only a little. Do not underestimate what that means. Heaven does not. My child, you call yourself weak. I call you resilient. You call yourself delayed. I call you prepared. You call yourself lost. I call you growing. You call yourself forgotten. I call you chosen. You and I have been looking at the same journey from very different perspectives. Perhaps it is time you borrow mine for a while. My child, there is a difference between waiting and being abandoned. Waiting still contains hope. Waiting still contains movement. Waiting still contains purpose. A seed buried underground looks exactly like something forgotten. But burial and planting are not the same thing. One leads to endings, the other leads to life. Some of you listening feel buried beneath responsibilities, buried beneath disappointment, buried beneath exhaustion, buried beneath unanswered prayers. But hear me carefully, you are not buried, you are planted, and what is planted eventually grows. My child, I know waiting is difficult. Waiting feels invisible. Waiting feels uncertain. Waiting feels lonely, especially when everyone else seems to be moving. But movement is not always visible. Roots move underground. Healing moves quietly. Restoration often happens in silence. The deepest transformations often happen where nobody can see them, including you. My child, one day you will look back on this season differently. One day you will understand why some prayers took longer, why some relationships ended, why some opportunities disappeared, why some paths quietly closed before you reached them. And when that day comes, you may discover that what looked like delay was guidance. What looked like silence was preparation. What looked like rejection was protection, and what looked like abandonment was love refusing to let you settle for less than what was meant for you. My child, please do not lose heart while roots are growing. Do not abandon hope while seeds remain beneath the soil. Do not assume nothing is happening simply because nothing is visible yet. The sunrise begins long before the first light reaches your eyes, and many answers begin long before you recognize them. My child, there is something else I need you to hear before we continue. The enemy of peace is not always suffering. Sometimes it is comparison. Comparison convinces you that everyone else is moving while you remain stuck. But your story was never meant to move at their pace. The oak tree and the wildflower do not compete. The river does not compete with the mountain. The sunrise does not compete with the stars. Creation understands something humanity often forgets. Different things can be beautiful at different times. So can your life. My child, if you remember nothing else from today, remember this. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not too late. And your story has not missed its moment. The road has not ended. In many ways, it is only beginning. Trust me a little longer. Walk with me a little further. The chapter you are in is not the final chapter. Some of the most beautiful parts of your story have not happened yet. Some of the prayers you almost stopped praying are still moving toward you. Some of the doors you think are closed forever have not even been reached yet. There is more ahead of you than behind you. More joy, more peace, more purpose, more life. My child, if your heart has believed for a long time that you are behind, let that burden leave you now. Release the timelines. Release the comparisons. Release the fear that you missed your chance. And replace them with this truth. I am not behind. I am being prepared. Say it again. I am not behind. I am being prepared. Because my child, what I am preparing for you will be worth the wait. God says, my child, the future you fear is not the future I have prepared for you. My child, there is something I need to speak gently into your heart now. Because there is a burden you have been carrying for a very long time, and perhaps nobody around you fully realizes how heavy it has become. You carry it quietly. You carry it while working. You carry it while smiling. You carry it while talking to people. You carry it while trying to sleep. You carry it into tomorrow before tomorrow even arrives. It is the burden of the future. My child, you are afraid, perhaps more afraid than anyone knows. Not loud fear, not obvious fear, quiet fear, the kind that sits beside you at night, the kind that waits until the room becomes silent, the kind that whispers questions into your heart. What if things never get better? What if I fail? What if I make the wrong decision? What if I disappoint everyone? What if I lose what matters most to me? What if I never become who I was supposed to become? My child, I know those questions. I have heard every one of them, even the ones you never spoke aloud, especially those. Please stay with me here, because what I tell you next may change the way you look at tomorrow. The future you are afraid of is often a future fear created, not a future I prepared. There is a difference. Fear writes stories. Fear fills empty spaces with worst-case endings. Fear takes uncertainty and turns it into disaster. Fear takes waiting and turns it into hopelessness. Fear takes silence and turns it into abandonment. Fear has been telling stories about your future for a long time. Stories that sound convincing. Stories that sound wise. Stories that sound realistic. But fear is not wisdom. Fear is not prophecy. Fear is not your shepherd. I am, my child. No wonder your heart feels exhausted. You have been carrying futures that do not even exist. You have grieved losses that have not happened. You have fought battles that never arrived. You have rehearsed conversations that never took place. You have lived through storms that never came. Fear convinced you that worrying was preparation. But worry has never prepared anyone for tomorrow. It has only stolen today. My child, please do not leave yet, because there is something I need you to understand. You have spent so much time asking, what if everything goes wrong? May I ask you something instead? What if things go right? What if the prayer you almost stopped praying is closer than you realize? What if the answer has already begun moving toward you? What if this delay protects you from something your future self would thank me for? What if this season is not punishment, but preparation? What if your story contains more beauty than fear has allowed you to imagine? My child, you trust fear's imagination more than your own hope. Fear paints pictures vividly. Fear speaks loudly. Fear repeats itself endlessly. Hope speaks differently. Hope whispers. Hope waits. Hope asks for trust before sight. But hope is often much closer to truth than fear ever was. Because hope leaves room for me, fear leaves room only for disaster. My child, there is a future waiting for you that fear cannot currently see. There are friendships waiting for you, conversations waiting for you, opportunities waiting for you, healing waiting for you, peace waiting for you, joy waiting for you. There are mornings you have not lived yet that will make sense of nights you are living through now. There are prayers still moving toward their answer. There are chapters still unwritten, and some of the most beautiful pages of your story have not even begun. My child, you are afraid that one wrong decision will destroy everything. You are afraid that one mistake will ruin your future forever. Hear me carefully. Your life is not that fragile in my hands. You are not balancing above disaster every single day. You are not one imperfect choice away from losing your purpose forever. I am larger than your mistakes, larger than your confusion, larger than your detours. Even when you wander, I know how to guide. Even when you stumble, I know how to restore. Even when you lose your way, I know how to bring you home again. My child, there is something many people never realize. You see your life from inside time, I see it from outside of it. You see one page. I see the entire book. You see one chapter. I see the ending already written. You see uncertainty. I see direction. You see delay. I see timing. You see confusion. I see a path slowly unfolding beneath your feet. Trust the one who sees what you cannot yet see. My child, I know you want certainty. You want guarantees. You want to know exactly how everything will unfold. You want to know your family will be okay, that your finances will recover, that your health will improve, that your dreams are not foolish. I understand that longing, but certainty was never meant to be the foundation of faith. Trust was. Faith was never designed to remove uncertainty. Faith was designed to teach peace in the middle of uncertainty. My child, imagine if I showed you your entire future today. Every joy, every goodbye, every victory, every heartbreak, every surprise, every blessing. Would your heart be able to carry all of that at once? Probably not. That is why I give grace one day at a time, strength one day at a time, wisdom one day at a time, light for the next step, then the next, then the next. Not because I am hiding things from you, because I am caring for you. My child, there are things happening around you that you cannot yet see, doors quietly moving, conversations unfolding, protection operating silently, redirections happening without your awareness. There are moments you called bad luck, moments you called failure, moments you called disappointment. But one day, you may discover that some of the things that hurt you most were also the things that protected you most. There is more happening than your eyes can currently see. Trust me with the hidden parts of the story, my child. Stop trying to carry tomorrow before tomorrow arrives. Tomorrow belongs to me. Today belongs to you. Today's courage, today's kindness, today's obedience, today's rest, today's faith. Fear wants you to live 10 years from now. Peace invites you to live here, this breath, this moment, this day, my child. Some of you listening right now feel trapped between two fears, the fear of staying where you are and the fear of moving forward. So you remain frozen in the middle, not because you are weak, not because you are lazy, because uncertainty feels dangerous, but remaining frozen has exhausted you too. You were made to move, not recklessly, not hurriedly, but faithfully, one step at a time. My child, stop asking me for a map of your entire future. Ask me for enough light for the next step. That is how I guided generations before you, not with complete explanations, with faithful presence. The shepherd does not hand the sheep a map. The shepherd walks beside them, and I am walking beside you, even now, especially now. My child, please stay with me for one more moment, because this may be the most important thing I tell you today. Before tomorrow arrives, I will already be there. Before the conversation happens, I will already be there. Before the opportunity comes, I will already be there. Before the challenge appears, I will already be there. The place you fear is a place I already occupy. The road you fear walking is a road I already know. The future approaching you is a future I reach before you do. You are not walking into the unknown alone. You are walking toward a tomorrow where my presence arrives before your fears ever can. My child, release tomorrow from your hands. You were never meant to hold it this tightly. Rest your shoulders. Breathe again. Look at today. There is enough grace here for today. Enough strength here for today. Enough peace here for today. Tomorrow's grace will arrive tomorrow. just as today's grace arrived today. My child, if you remember nothing else from this moment, remember this: the future you fear is not the future I prepared. Trust me with what you cannot see. Trust me with what you cannot control. Trust me with the chapters you have not yet read, because the author of your story has not abandoned the pages still to come. I am still writing, and my child, some of the most beautiful moments of your life have not happened yet. If your heart needs this reminder today, simply say, I trust you with tomorrow. Even if your voice trembles, even if your faith feels small, say it anyway, because sometimes healing begins with honesty. Sometimes peace begins with surrender, and sometimes courage begins with a single sentence whispered into uncertainty. Lord, I trust you with tomorrow. God says, my child, you were never meant to carry this alone. My child, there is something I need you to stop believing, because this belief has been quietly exhausting your heart for far too long, and perhaps nobody has ever said this to you clearly enough before. Being overwhelmed is not the same as being weak. Being tired is not failure. Needing help is not weakness, and carrying everything alone was never strength. Please stay with me here, because what I am about to tell you may explain why your soul has felt so tired for so long. My child, you have become very good at surviving, better than anyone realizes. You know how to keep going when you are exhausted. You know how to smile when your heart feels heavy. You know how to tell people you are fine when you are anything but fine. You know how to keep showing up, keep working, keep helping, keep carrying, keep functioning, even when part of you is quietly running out of strength. And somewhere along the way, you began mistaking survival for peace, endurance for healing, exhaustion for responsibility. You became so used to carrying heavy things that heaviness started to feel normal. But my child, normal and necessary are not the same thing. My child, there are burdens you have carried for so long that you no longer recognize them as burdens. The pressure to hold everything together, the pressure to have answers for everyone, the pressure to never disappoint anyone, the pressure to be the strong one, the pressure to keep going no matter how tired you become, the pressure to hold yourself together while quietly falling apart inside. You carry expectations that I never placed upon you. You hold yourself to standards I never asked of you, and then you blame yourself for struggling beneath weight that was never yours to carry. Please hear me carefully. You are not weak. You are overloaded. There is a difference. A person carrying 10 stones is not weak because they struggle to carry an 11th. The burden was simply never meant to be carried alone. My child, do not leave yet, because there is something important I need you to see. Fear convinced you that carrying everything yourself would keep you safe. Fear said, if I stay prepared, I cannot be surprised. If I stay worried, I cannot be disappointed. If I stay in control, I cannot be hurt. But fear lied to you. Carrying everything did not protect your heart. It exhausted it. You became responsible for problems that did not belong to you. You became anxious about futures that had not arrived. You became afraid of storms that never came. You became tired fighting battles that never happened. No wonder you are exhausted. You have been carrying shadows as if they were realities. My child, there are nights when you carry tomorrow into today. You rehearse conversations that have not happened. You imagine outcomes that do not exist. You prepare yourself for loss before loss arrives. You mourn endings before endings happen. You call it being responsible. Heaven calls it carrying too much alone. My child, this is one of the reasons I interrupted your day today. Because I saw where this road was leading. I saw peace becoming unfamiliar. I saw rest beginning to feel undeserved. I saw your heart becoming convinced that exhaustion was simply who you were now, and I could not stay silent. Not because I wanted to frighten you, because I love you. Sometimes love comforts, sometimes love waits, and sometimes love speaks clearly and says, "My child, you do not have to continue living this way. My child, you have become so familiar with pressure that peace almost feels uncomfortable now. When life becomes quiet, you search for problems. When things become calm, you prepare for disaster. When happiness arrives, you wait for it to disappear. Because somewhere in your journey, your heart learned that safety meant staying alert, that rest was dangerous, that letting go meant losing control. So you stayed ready, ready for disappointment, ready for bad news, ready for loss, ready for impact, always bracing, always carrying, always preparing. But my child, that is not peace, that is survival. And survival was never supposed to become your permanent home. You were created for more than surviving. You were created to live, to breathe deeply, to laugh freely, to rest without guilt, to experience joy without immediately preparing for its ending. My child, there is something else I need you to hear, because this may be the reason your heart has felt so heavy lately. You have been trying to become your own savior, not intentionally, not consciously, but quietly. You try to solve every problem, protect every person, prevent every disappointment, control every outcome, carry every responsibility, hold together everything around you. And when you cannot, you blame yourself. You call yourself weak. You call yourself a failure. You call yourself not enough. But my child, you were never asked to save the world. You were never asked to carry everyone's pain. You were never asked to control every outcome. You were never asked to hold together what only I can hold together. You were asked to walk with me. There is a difference. My child, please stay with me for one more moment, because what I say next matters. Trust does not say, "I can handle everything." Trust says, "I cannot carry this alone." Trust says, "I release what I cannot control." Trust says, "I do not understand everything, but I will keep walking." Trust says, "I believe I do not have to save myself." Trust was always the invitation, not exhaustion, not self-reliance, not endless striving. My child, some of you listening right now are tired in ways sleep cannot fix. Tired of carrying responsibility, tired of making decisions, tired of pretending to be okay, tired of worrying, tired of waiting, tired of being strong, tired of trying. And perhaps the hardest part is this: you feel guilty for being tired, because other people have it harder, because you should be grateful, because you believe you have no right to feel overwhelmed. My child, pain is not a competition. Exhaustion does not become less real because someone else is suffering too. Your tiredness matters to me. Your tears matter to me. Your fears matter to me. You matter to me, more than you know. My child, there are moments I wish you could see through my eyes, because you call yourself weak, while heaven sees courage. You call yourself failing, while heaven sees endurance. You call yourself broken, while heaven sees someone who kept going long after they thought they had nothing left. You have survived more than you give yourself credit for. Heaven has noticed every quiet victory, every difficult morning you got out of bed, every day you kept going, every moment you chose kindness while carrying pain nobody knew about. Nothing was unseen, nothing was unnoticed. My child, there are things happening around you that you cannot yet see. Strength quietly returning, healing quietly beginning, doors quietly moving, people quietly being positioned, answers quietly approaching. You see only the weight you carry. I see the things already moving toward your relief. Trust me with what remains hidden. My child, there were moments when your heart wanted someone to say, "You do not have to carry this alone anymore." So let me say it now. You do not have to carry this alone anymore. Not the grief, not the uncertainty, not the disappointment, not the pressure, not the fear, not the future. Bring it all to me, not the polished version, not the strong version, the real version. Bring me the questions, bring me the anger, bring me the confusion, bring me the exhaustion. Bring me the parts of yourself that you work so hard to hide from everyone else. My child, you do not clean yourself before entering the river. You enter the river to be washed. You do not heal yourself before coming to the healer. You come to the healer because healing is needed. Stop waiting until you are stronger before coming closer to me. Come because you are tired. Come because you are weary. Come because you cannot carry this anymore. Come because you do not have to. My child, I am not disappointed by your limits. I created them. I know you are human. I know your heart becomes tired. I know your strength has boundaries. I know there are days when simply surviving the day feels like an achievement. And I am proud of you for those days too. Not only for your victories, not only for your accomplishments, not only for your strongest moments. I am proud of the days you quietly kept going, the days nobody applauded, the days nobody noticed, the days when surviving itself required courage. Heaven noticed. I noticed. I always do. My child, before we continue, carry this truth with you. You do not need to earn rest. You do not need to deserve grace. You do not need to prove your worth through exhaustion. Your value has never been measured by how much suffering you can endure. Your worth has never depended on your productivity. You matter because you are mine, not because you never struggle, not because you never need help, not because you never fall apart. You matter because you are loved, fully, completely. Right now, my child, lay it down, the fear, the pressure, the expectations, the burden of fixing everything. Lay it down, not because it does not matter, but because you matter too. Imagine what peace would feel like if your heart no longer had to hold everything at once. Imagine waking up without carrying tomorrow before breakfast. Imagine trusting that you do not have to control everything for everything to be okay. That peace exists, not because life becomes perfect, but because you stop carrying it alone. My child, if you have stayed with me this long, then take this truth with you today. You are not leaving empty-handed. You are leaving with permission to rest, permission to breathe, permission to stop apologizing for being human, permission to receive help, permission to let yourself be loved, and perhaps most importantly, permission to stop carrying what was never yours to carry. My child, come closer. Rest here for a while. You have been strong for a very long time. You do not have to be strong every second anymore. For just this moment, let yourself be held. Let yourself be loved. Let yourself rest. Because, my child, you were never meant to carry all of this alone, and you never will have to again. If your heart needed this today, simply whisper, "Lord, I give this to you." Even if your voice shakes, even if your faith feels small, whisper it anyway. Because sometimes peace begins with surrender, and sometimes healing begins with finally setting down what was never yours to carry in the first place. God says, "My child, your story is not over, my child. Before we part for today, there is one final thing I need you to carry with you. Not fear, not pressure, not another burden. Just this truth. Your story is not over. I know there were moments when you believed it was. Moments when disappointment felt final. Moments when exhaustion felt permanent. Moments when you looked at your life and quietly wondered if perhaps the best parts had already passed you by. I know those moments. I was there for every one of them. I saw the nights when hope felt smaller than fear. I saw the mornings when getting out of bed required more strength than anyone around you could understand. I saw the moments when you smiled for others while wondering inside if you still had enough strength to keep going yourself. I saw all of it, and I stayed. My child, please stay with me for one more moment, because what I tell you next matters. A difficult chapter is not the end of the book. A closed door is not the end of the journey. A season of waiting is not the end of your purpose. And a season of pain is not the end of your story. Please do not mistake where you are for where you will always be. Storms pass, winter ends, night gives way to morning, and hearts heal more slowly than they realize. My child, there are parts of your story you cannot yet see. Conversations that have not happened yet. Doors that have not opened yet. Friendships that have not entered your life yet. Prayers that are still moving toward their answer. Peace that is still finding its way back to you. Healing already beginning beneath the surface. Joy already walking toward your future. Do not decide your tomorrow using only what you can see today. There is more ahead of you than fear has allowed you to imagine. Much more. My child, one day you will look back on this season differently. One day you will understand why some prayers took longer, why some relationships ended, why some opportunities disappeared, why some roads quietly closed before you reached them. And when that day comes, you may discover that what looked like delay was direction. What looked like silence was preparation. What looked like rejection was protection. And what looked like abandonment was love quietly refusing to let you settle for less than what was meant for you. My child, do not leave yet, because there is something I need you to hear very carefully. You survived things you once believed would destroy you. There were nights you thought you would never recover from. There were disappointments you thought would define your life forever. There were seasons you thought would never end. And yet, you are still here. Still breathing, still hoping, still listening, still becoming. Do not underestimate what that means. Heaven does not. My child, you call yourself weak. Heaven calls you resilient. You call yourself tired. Heaven calls you faithful. You call yourself lost. Heaven sees someone still walking. You call yourself broken. Heaven sees someone still fighting for light even in the middle of darkness. Perhaps you and heaven have been looking at your life very differently. Perhaps it is time you borrow heaven's perspective for a while. My child, there are things happening around you that you cannot yet see. Doors quietly moving, protection quietly working, answers quietly approaching, healing quietly beginning. People quietly being placed into your future. You see only what has not happened yet. I see everything already moving. Trust me with the unseen parts of the story. Trust me with the pages you have not read yet. Trust me with the chapters you cannot understand yet. The author of your story has not abandoned the pages still to come. I am still writing. My child, there will be mornings ahead that surprise you with peace. Conversations that surprise you with healing. Moments that surprise you with joy. Prayers that surprise you with answers. There are still sunsets you have not seen. Still laughter you have not heard. Still friendships you have not met. still miracles you have not recognized, still reasons to stay that you cannot yet imagine. Some of the most beautiful moments of your life have not happened yet. Please do not surrender your future to today's exhaustion. My child, if fear returns tomorrow, remember that I am still here. If uncertainty returns, remember that I am still here. If loneliness returns, remember that I am still here. If questions return, remember that I am still here. My presence is not temporary. My love is not fragile. My patience is not running out. I am not standing far away waiting for you to become someone else before I come closer. I am already here, closer than your next breath, closer than your next thought, closer than the fears trying to convince you otherwise. My child, rest tonight, not because every problem has disappeared, but because you no longer carry them alone. Rest tonight knowing that not everything depends on your strength. Rest tonight knowing that tomorrow's grace will arrive tomorrow. Rest tonight knowing that hands stronger than your fears are holding you even now. And if you wake during the night worrying about things you cannot control, give them to me again, as many times as necessary. I do not grow tired of receiving what burdens you, my child. Thank you for staying here with me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for opening your heart, even a little. That small opening is enough. Enough for hope to enter. Enough for peace to return. Enough for healing to begin. Enough for light to find its way back into places that have felt dark for a very long time. And before you go, carry this truth with you. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are not abandoned. You are not carrying this alone. And your story is not over, not even close. Some of the prayers you almost stopped praying are still moving toward you. Some of the peace you thought was lost forever is still waiting to return. Some of the most beautiful chapters of your life remain unwritten. Hold on a little longer. Walk a little further. Trust me a little deeper. I know the road ahead, and I will not leave your side. Not tomorrow, not next year, not ever. Because, my child, I loved you before this chapter began. I love you in the middle of it, and I will love you through every chapter still to come. Sleep peacefully tonight. Breathe deeply. Release what you cannot carry. And remember this, I am still here. I have always been here, and I will still be here tomorrow. Always, with you. Amen. And if your heart needed this message today, simply whisper, Lord, I trust you with what comes next. Because sometimes faith begins with a single sentence. Sometimes healing begins with a single surrender. And sometimes hope returns, one quiet prayer at a time.